Hello there. My name is Jam Asdaf, and today I will be discussing your emotions are just chemical reactions. So to start off, what are emotions? Check this out.
Emotions are complex psychophysiological experiences of an individual's state of mind as interacting with biochemical and environmental influences. Psychophysiological means it includes both physiological processes like change in heartbeat and thoughts. There is a very large spectrum of emotions, and we also feel them whether you like it or not. Emotions have basically three components: the cognitive component, the physical component, and the behavioral component. Though they are self-explanatory, it seems improbable that someone like you will be able to understand what these three components are just by simply looking at them. So I take it to myself to explain to you what they are. The cognitive component basically is what you feel. The physiological component is what your internal self feels, like heart beating faster and your eyes dilating. The behavioral component is how you behave because of these things happening to you. Now let's move on.
Now we have an idea what emotions are. Let us move on to the different kinds of emotions. Take a look at this.
There is a very large spectrum of emotions that we experience, and each one has a different effect on us. They can be classified into different types. There are two ways to classify emotions. The first way to classify them would be as primary and secondary emotions. Another one would be to classify them as positive and negative emotions. Simply put, primary emotions are what you feel immediately after you have experienced the event. The secondary emotion is triggered by the primary emotion. Positive emotions are emotions that express an attempt to include. Just like how positive feedback asks for more of the process, the positive emotion is like asking for more of that same stimulus. The opposite is negative emotion, which expresses an attempt to exclude. Here are some other examples of emotions.
Now we have an idea what the different kinds of emotions are. You might have wondered which parts of the body make them. Have a look at this.
The part of the body responsible for emotion is the limbic system. This includes the hippocampus, amygdala, thalamic nuclei, those parts you're seeing now on the screen. It has the putative, believed, associated role in generating emotions. This notion was developed by James Pepys in 1937 with his Pepys circuit, which we will see later on. This conclusion was made because the limbic system operates in the way that it influences the endocrine and the nervous system to elicit a response from our pleasure center in the brain. The Pepys circuit is here in the presentation, as you can see in this picture. Pepys discovered this circuit while experimenting with a cat. He injected rabies into its hippocampus, and he observed that it went to the fornix, then to the mammillary bodies, then to the mammillothalamic tract, and so on. This is hypothetically how memories are made, and emotions as well. Actually, not exactly how it is made, but this circuit shows the progression of the process of how emotions are made. The circuit shows which parts interact with which.
And finally, the processes of producing emotions.
But how exactly are emotions created? There have been so much research about emotions over the years but it is still not clear to us scientists how they really work. It is clear, though, that stimuli are responsible for making emotions, but some stimuli may have a different effect for some person to another person. They do not always elicit the same emotion. Finally, we have come to the most important part of the presentation: the importance of being able to control your emotions. This is important, just like when riding a horse, for not being able to control your emotions may get you in big trouble as you go on your way in life. Therefore, to be a successful person, one must be able to control his or her emotions. So how can you control your emotions? Simple, by following these 4 simple steps. 1. By recognizing the stimuli and the emotion it produces, and remembering it at all times. 2. By thinking before you act. 3. By controlling what you think. And 4. By visualizing yourself in different situations and deciding early on how to react in these situations. The first step is very important, because if you cannot accomplish this, then you will have a lot of trouble proceeding to the other steps. You have to remember which stimuli makes you angry, sad, or happy. In doing this, you can easily label your emotions as such, and therefore you are more aware on what emotion you're experiencing. If you know what emotion you are experiencing, then you now know how to react to this situation. If you do not know what emotion you are experiencing, in the other hand, then you might as well end up dancing sway while scolding a person who just insulted you. This simple saying is also very important. Acting on impulse makes you do wrong decisions most of the time. Thinking first and analyzing the situation lets you act more appropriately on the matter. Being able to control what you are thinking and how you think is very important. The way your body will perceive events will depend on your outlook in life. For example, if you're such a coward, then instead of feeling brave when fighting a harasser, you might feel scared instead. On the other hand, if you were brave, then instead of running away, you might have felt courageous and fought the harasser instead. That is why it is important to be able to control what you think. Also, if you're a sadistic person, then you might find it exciting if someone gets hurt, and stuff like that. Lastly, you have to be ready to react on anything. And you can do this by visualizing different situations that may just happen to you. Doing this will help you to react more appropriately on stimuli that you may encounter. For example, instead of being surprised and angry when someone slaps you in the face, since you were half expecting it last night, you might find it funny and relieving. Being able to meditate on what could happen to you and planning what to do on these occasions can make you ready for anything that may come to you.
And I believe that's all for today. I hope you have learned much from this presentation. My name is Jamas Dalfen. Have a nice day.